What up, guys? Welcome to Tectonic Takes. My name is Favi, and I'm actually here with a really special guest. You guys know him. I mean, he's been around for ages, and he's been around Quakes Media and Quakes Podcast for a long time. Phil Leva, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Favi. I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man. We had Dom on, and we had a blast, so I was like, let's get the other half of the new QuakesAfter90, right? So
well, I mean, we still want to have Zach and Bill on the show. They're still co-hosts with us, and Sterling occasionally too, Sterling McGarvey. So yeah, but for sure, I was so excited when you guys had Dom on, and I was like, okay. And then you reached out to me. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to be on there.
Yeah,
you know, with the quiz and everything, you guys did great with that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so my co-host isn't here today, guys. Ivan unfortunately can't be with us. He has some family matters to do. But when Ivan is back, we are going to do a quiz with Phil. So Phil's going to come back on. So he's not.
Wait. So what you're saying is I'm not actually a guest on the show. I'm a substitute.
Yeah, he's filling right now. No.
I'm joking, man. I'm just happy to be on here. This is cool.
Yeah, well, we're happy. I guess I'm happy to have you because I can't speak for my co-host that's not here. But we're gonna go over a couple of things. We're gonna kind of talk about Phil, where he's at with QuakesAfter90, and just getting to know. I mean, the famous Phil Leva. So we're gonna go ahead and ask him a couple of Quakes questions and things like that. But I guess we have a lot to talk about too. The breaking news: Danny Huzzan is out for the season, so that's huge. I mean, it's horrible for us. He's out because he had surgery on his abdomen. Is that correct, Phil?
Yeah, it was surgery to repair an oblique muscle tear and a adductor as well. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad news. Well, you know, Danny Huzzan hasn't exactly been spectacular for this team, but he's another option up top. And considering what we've seen from Andy Rios,
right,
and to be frank, Wanda Lasky at times too,
Huzzan
was another option for the team. And it's unfortunate that he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he was really the only one that could stretch that back line with some sort of pace.
Exactly.
So we're definitely going to need either someone to come on in or either to put a young guy in that role. And I know Phil might not want to do this, but we were talking about it a little earlier.
Cowell.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoa, Cade Cowell.
No, I know. People get so excited over young players. And I actually talked about this a couple episodes ago on QuakesAfter90, and that is
great episode.
Thank you. The way that fans, I should say, and analysts at times, analysts do this too.
Yeah.
They treat young players in a certain way that kind of disgusts me a little bit, you know, like they need time to develop. They need time to mature. Yeah. And sometimes they're put into positions that they're not ready for yet. So if we're talking Cade Cowell, my main concern would be development. Development itself. Although he is way farther ahead than I think you would see with most 16-year-old players.
Right.
Development more so than like his actual maturity. He seems like he's kind of already there. Like he's ready to play. He's mature. But I just don't like to fantasize about having a bunch of like 16, 17, 18-year-old boys playing for your club when they really need more time to develop. And we're seeing this with Syed Haji. We're seeing this even guys who were kind of in their early 20s who are starting to develop, you know, Eric Calvillo, guys like that who are incredibly talented, but they just need more minutes. They need more time to prepare themselves to play at the MLS level.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. We should do our best to kind of not make those analysis way too much, right? So we overrate these guys a little too early, I think, and then we get disappointed when unfortunately they don't pan out.
And that's the other sad part too, right? And then that is some weight on the shoulders of the players as well, because they're aware of it, man. They're aware of it.
Imagine being a 16-year-old kid, you know, thinking about prom, but then you got like 18,000 people wanting you to score a banger against LA Galaxy, right? That's a lot of responsibility.
In Cade Cowell's case, we're talking like junior prom, right?
Yeah,
He's a young guy.
Yeah, but he does seem, like you said, he does seem really mature for his age, and I know I wasn't like that when I was 16.
No, I certainly wasn't. I was a shrimp, man. When I was 16 years old, I'd be embarrassed to even show a picture of myself.
We'll get that on the YouTube. No.
Oh man, I'm sure if you looked it up, you couldn't find it. No, I'm older than you probably think. So, yeah. I mean, we didn't have social media when I was 16.
Whoa. Okay.
So there you go. Yeah.
I mean,
I was
Yeah,
born in the 80s, man. I don't know if you knew this. I was born in
no,
the 80s.
oh no, I didn't. You don't look like
Yeah.
it. That's for sure.
That's one thing with the show. It's like nobody ever actually sees what I look like. They just hear my voice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I was
Yeah.
born in the mid 80s. So I've been around for a minute. I've only been following the Quakes actually since like 2009, which
Okay.
is a long time compared to a lot of folks who are following the team now.
Yeah.
But I've been a sports fan like my whole life, and soccer
Right.
didn't become an important part of my life until right around that time. So.
Oh wow. Yeah. So I was gonna ask you a couple of questions. Kind of.
Yeah, man.
We want to go ahead and know a little more about the backstory of Quakes After 90. I bet a lot of our listeners are fans of your show as well, or your guys' show. And we would love to know what made you just start the show. I know you guys, got me to get into podcasting, so I thank you. I mean, you guys led the way for a lot of us.
I'd love to hear it, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
So what brought you on to making podcasts back when you made the first one?
All right, I gotta like measure my words here because I've noticed over the years, because we initially started back in 2014. It was the genesis was on the subreddit, the Earthquake subreddit.
Yeah.
A post got put out. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Bill Mid. And a bunch of people hopped on initially, and then once it like distilled over time, it just became like me and Bill and then Dom came on a few shows after we had started.
Wow.
And then later on down the line, Zach joined us too.
Okay. And then
Sterling. Yeah, so you asked like how it all got started. Well, and this is why I'm measuring my words, because I have a lot of respect for the writers, and especially occupationally, right? It's a tough job.
Yeah.
They don't make a lot of money, and they're doing something they love.
Exactly.
And I had always felt, with respect to all the really good writers out there who've covered the Quakes and MLS soccer over the years, that I felt that they had to work within confines. And we wanted to create a podcast where there weren't those confines. And so I don't want to name drop, because I've done that before, and I think that's actually hurt our listenership a little bit, because it's insulting to probably, I can imagine it's really insulting to hear that from a group of guys who don't know squat, right? That we're just like dudes who talk about the earthquakes. So anyway, there were some writers that we felt who were very good at their jobs, but they were limited, and we wanted to have a show in which we didn't have those boundaries in our way. Where if somebody had a bad performance, like a player, we can say, you know what, that guy had a crap performance, and we'll just hit him on it. And that's nothing bad against the player. They're professionals, they're going to be analyzed for their performances. Right. And we just felt that, a lot of the guys who were in the game at the time weren't really doing that. So that was kind of like a big part of it for me. And I know for Dom and for Bill to a certain extent too. And I don't want to speak for those guys, but I know that we've had those discussions. And so I kind of know that a little bit about their perspective. But to go back to initially starting, so we were on the subreddit. And me and Bill, like, we were actually serious about doing this thing. And the first podcast we ever did, I can remember, I think it was the first one. It was one of the first couple. Was a game against the Columbus Crew. And man, we really like dug in, and we analyzed it. And at the time, that's kind of what the podcast was. And then over time, if you've ever listened to the show, we really fill up the air with like banter and just having fun. And Studs and Duds came along. The Studs and Duds soundbite that I probably got here somewhere, actually. If you wanted to hear it later on in the show, I can actually hit it. So
do you have like a sound bar? Is that how it works? Or
so originally, so everything. So the funny thing is, if anybody knows much about podcasting or audio engineering, everything is like, God, I feel like I'm giving away the magic. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But let me just say that, like, I would insert. So I used to do a lot of heavy editing in the beginning. Yeah. Now what you hear for Quakes After 90 is mostly just our own audio files mixed together, and it's all raw. It's like we just leave it raw because we've been doing this long enough. We know what we sound like. We don't have as many fillers as we used to. Right. And but see, I just did one.
Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't like that. Yeah. Back then, there were a lot of fillers. We were terrified of silence. I know we talked about this a little bit prior to the show. There's power in silence on radio. Definitely. But anyway, I feared those things, and so I heavily edited, and the show was much different back then. Yeah. And now it's just like banter, and we have fun, and there's still some good analysis here and there. Yeah, I know. Every once in a while, we'll say something smart. Bill is particularly good at doing that. Dom always has some great insight, and Zach is our historian, and I'm just the guy who talks a lot on the show. So there you go. Yeah, it's a great concoction for a great podcast. I mean, you guys are the guys. I mean, thanks, man. I'm a big fan. I know Ivan's a big fan as well. And if you guys are listening and you're not on the Quakes Reddit, please follow, make that bigger. If you want to add some sort of content to the whole family of content, please go ahead and do so. We love seeing new Quakes content. Definitely. Even when
even when we're the ones making content too.
Yeah, I completely support that, and I agree. Like, I've actually been back on the Reddit more recently and more often, and I think it's important to engage with other fans.
I love the memes. I mean, you can't get those anywhere
That's
else.
one of the best things.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter sometimes, but on Twitter, like, they're not there for you just to look at. You kind of have to search them out, or you have to be on your Twitter feed. Whereas on Reddit, they're sitting there, and then if they're good, they get upvoted. And
right. And it seems like a little. It seems like a really big community when we might not be that big, right? So it doesn't seem. We're not. Of course, we don't have the fans like Atlanta United or LAFC, but if we all do our best to try to grow this family, then we'll get there in no time. So
no doubt.
Yeah. So let's get to know you a little more, Phil. I got some questions for you.
Oh man.
Let's go rapid fire. All right.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay. Let's do it.
It's not going to be a quiz. But it's going to be kind of a nice little fun rapid fire answering so that the fans get to know you a little more, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with favorite Quakes player.
Like all time or current Quakes player?
Current. Sorry.
Ah man. This is rapid fire too. Shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got to say the first name that comes to mind, right? Chris Wanda, Lasky.
Okay, there you go. So, favorite former Quakes player?
Steven Lenhart. No doubt. Steven Lenhart.
Favorite Quakes team?
Ooh. Man, there was something special about that 2010 team, I have to say. When they I'm not going to choose it. I just want to say this first, okay? This is there was something special about that team, and they actually competed in the Eastern Conference final against the Colorado Rapids, which is kind of weird. Neither team was an Eastern Conference team, but it ended up that way. But that was so special with, Bobby Convey finally having a performance and Wanda Lasky scoring in the playoffs against the Red Bulls. That was fantastic. I'm trying not to curse. I've gotten into the habit of cursing on my podcast. I'm trying not to curse.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, come on. It's the Goonies, 2012.
Okay,
that's
awesome
that team.
Yeah,
man.
that's a great choice. So, I mean, you gotta like them. And then favorite Quakes jersey.
I don't even know if I can answer this.
Why?
This is hard. I haven't loved any of the newer ones, really.
Really?
You
didn't like the black one?
Okay, yeah. The one with you're talking about the one with the
Sutter
fault lines on it.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean I don't dislike it. I'm not gonna go hard against it like some folks have. I think it's cool. It's a cool jersey. It's not my favorite. I like the pre-new logo jerseys a lot. Like there was one season where they had a third, and the third was that white jersey. I actually have one.
Oh wow!
I wish I can. I'm not wearing it right now. I'm wearing a different white jersey right now. But the third, I think it was like around 2012, 2013, and I don't know that they ever wore it. They may have worn it for a couple of exhibition matches, but not in an official match. There was the light blue, and I missed that light blue color too. That almost not. I don't want to say teal, but it's like going towards that end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Those jerseys and the black ones from that era were just fantastic.
Oh,
if we're talking new Quakes era, post 2015.
Yeah.
I would say that first black and blue jersey, the first one that came out with the new logo.
Okay.
When they did the reveal and everything, it was the one for those of you guys who were around back then when they did the big reveal party over at San Pedro Market Square. Yeah, that was when Lars Fredriksson and the oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the band right now, which is killing me. But it was Lars Fredriksson's band who came over and played, and he was wearing that jersey. The guys in the band were wearing those jerseys. So those jerseys have like a special place in my heart. I really like those too.
Okay. And then favorite Quakes moment.
Oh, Alan Gordon scoring the goal against the Galaxy. Gordon, Alan Gordon. And then Adam John's first season, and Adam John's chasing behind him and everything. But man, that whole sequence is the greatest moment that I can recall in Quakes.
Yeah.
Recent Quakes history. Obviously there's like the big George Best goal from back when he played on the Quakes back in the early 80s or whatever. But I think that was a defining moment in the history of the team. Showing the resilience, the Goonie mentality.
Right.
It's kind of corny to say that, but the never say die mentality, right? That was real. And that whole sequence, Marvin Chavez burning down that left flank, right, and then just completely dropping De La Garza to the ground.
And then Cronin.
Crossing that ball into, I think first it went to Shea Salinas and then it went to Sam Cronin.
Yeah.
And actually, man, now that I'm saying Sam Cronin's name aloud, he's got to be right up there next to Lenhart with my all-time favorite Quakes player. I love Sam Cronin. And then he he just lofted that beautiful
I know,
pass.
right? Beautiful.
To the left post. I don't know if I could say back post or whatever.
Yeah.
It was on the left side, right? Because he was facing
exactly.
he was facing goal. So he just chips it perfectly. And he had two options, man.
Right.
There were two guys. He had Adam John, he had Alan Gordon. Alan Gordon just dunked it. And it was just it was, man, and I was there.
Like a dunk.
I was there. Yeah, I was there at the game.
Oh, you were there?
I was there at both of those. And Shea Salinas did it too when he scored the game winner against Galaxy. I think the following year, I want to say.
Yeah.
2013 at Stanford Stadium. But man, that was a hell of a moment. That was a heck of a moment. That was it.
You know how Sam Cronin was on the ball? If it was Huzzan, that would have been the upper deck, all right?
I know. Sorry, Huzzan. Huzzan, great player. I love him. I love what he can do. But yeah, that's not really his forte.
Yeah, but that was so I was editing our podcast a little bit ago, and I was rewatching that clip because I was using it for one of our podcasts, and I was like, man, that's such a nice ball from Sam Cronin.
It was perfect.
Insanely nice.
It couldn't have been done better. It couldn't have been better. Cronin was such an underrated player. Now he was not. That wasn't really his forte either. It's funny, like the lobbed pass wasn't always his thing, but he could make some great lobbed passes across the pitch to kind of switch play a little bit. But he had so many great attributes that I love to see in players. And really, this was my bias back then, and it is a little bit now.
Yeah,
I felt like Sam Cronin's style of play really exemplified the American style of athletics. Like it was hard nosed. Lunch pail, get in there, get the job done. Don't complain. Play for the guys around you. It was that's the kind of player that Sam Cronin was. And on top of it, man, he can really hit some nice passes on the ground. I remember he scored a couple goals that were just grass cutters, man. And baseball, we would call that a seeing eye hit, right? So he was great at that.
Yeah, we don't really, like you guys were talking about on your last or one of the episodes before on Quakes After 90, we don't really have a lunch pail guy anymore. I mean, once Wanda's gone, we really don't have a.
No, I think there are a couple guys who are fringe. Garam Kashia, I kind of feel like is on that.
Okay, yeah, I can see that
end of the scale a little bit. I can see him being that kind of guy. But your day in, day out, hardworking guy is You don't see that too much, not especially in the midfield. I mean, with Shea Salinas, yes, you do see that.
Yeah.
But he's not kind of what I'm talking about in terms of your midfield players. So when I talk about that kind of a lunch pail player, I'm talking about your, more in the style of Sam Cronin, a guy who comes in and just does the dirty work.
Kind of like your Chara, right?
Huzzan is kind of like that in some ways, I would say. Yeah, Diego Chara, although Diego Chara is a spectacular player. You know, he goes beyond that even. I wish I had a better example. There was a guy who played for the Philadelphia Union for several years in the in the 2000s and the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And it's Brian Carroll. He's the perfect example of that type of player, Brian Carroll. So you get guys like that on your team, it just makes everybody better. Jeff Larinowitz for Atlanta United is a really good example. He's that kind of player. So those kind of guys who are leaders and they just do the dirty work and they go in, there's nothing spectacular. They're not going to always make the highlight reels. Those are the kind of players you need on the team. So Sam Cronin, perfect example.
Okay.
From the team.
Okay. And then, that was a dunk though. I mean, literally puts the ball perfectly and then gets up there like he's some sort of like possessed a dunker. I mean, some sort of possessed basketball player.
Jumpman.
Yeah, literally. It just places hip.
It's alley-oop, man. That was Pippen to Jordan or whatever. That was just. It was magic. It was magic.
But that has to be. I mean, the Quakes don't get enough love in the Bay Area media circle, but that call has to be one of the best calls. I would say one of the.
It was great. You know what? People hate on Dan Dibley, but I really enjoyed when he was calling for the team.
I thought he was great all the time.
He had a couple of great calls. Yeah, he's on 95.7. Is he still on 95.7?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Dan Dibley in the morning.
He's great. And there was another famous call he did. It was he had a lot of opportunities to do this. Yeah. And he actually wasn't the full-time commentator, play-by-play commentator during that time. I don't remember the other gentleman's name at the moment, but Dibley also did the call on the Steven Linhart game winner on Steven Linhart Wig Night.
Yeah.
It's blonde-haired bedlam at Buckshaw Stadium. Yeah. That was Dibley too.
And then it cuts to all the people with the wig.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I was there for that one too. I used to be a season ticket holder, so I was there, and for a lot of those games. Yeah,
I mean, before COVID, right? We had an Alanis game winner, and me and my wife were there with I think Seismic Imperial. I'm dropping the name, but the Latin supporters group. And we were just out there, and I've never seen so much beer go in the air, man. It was insane. So it was their guy scoring a free kick winner. So they were just going crazy.
Is it Imperio Sísmico or something like that?
Yeah, Imperio. See, you know, it's funny. I'm Latin. I'm Uruguayan.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
But I'm hella white. I'm not going to lie, man. Like, I'm hella white. My mom's white, and I got most of, like, her genes or whatever. My dad is from Mexico. So, like,
okay.
That's why my last name's Leyva. I have a Mexican last name. So,
okay.
I'm hella white, dude. Like, I'm not going to try to pretend, you know. Like, I'm full, like, I'm passing. And I realize I'm not going to go into the racial thing.
Yeah, I mean, me and I even talked about it. We talked about how we're both white passing Latinos, and we have to do our part to make sure that people understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I say I don't want to go into it, it's not because I don't think it's important. It's just because you know, we're here to talk about some other stuff right now, and I do think that there's time for that. But maybe, you know, and continue talking about our favorite soccer team right now.
And then one last question. I know this was rapid fire, right?
I know. Oh, man, so rapid.
But favorite thing to eat at the stadium or drink?
Okay, so I'm going to have to cheat a little bit on this one because I don't normally eat at the stadium.
Oh, okay. It could be outside or it could be pregame.
Yeah, so pregame, and I don't know if I'm like breaking the rules by saying the name of a restaurant or whatever, but there's a Japanese like ramen place down the street on Coleman Avenue, Menbei.
Okay.
Ramen. And man, that place is awesome. Like, so I go there quite often. I actually took Zach there. My wife and I took Zach there with us one time. Zach from QuakesAfter90. To eat. And so they have really good ramen there. And they have a couple other really good things. But man, I think at the stadium, like I might have a beer, you know, like I might go to the international or whatever they call that. It's not
Lobina.
Well, I mean, there's a Lobina too, for sure. But if you go the exact opposite side of the
you
stadium,
go to the international beer.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know. Is it international? I don't know. But it's like, I guess I'd be on the west end of the stadium, right? So it's over on that side, behind where the ultras normally are. Yeah. So like I'll usually go, because that's normally that's our meetup spot normally. Like when things are regular, like me, Dom, Bill, like Zach, if we're at the stadium, like that's normally at halftime, we'll go meet up there. We'll talk about what happened in the first half. We'll kind of like shoot the breeze, chop it up a little bit. And then we'll normally go back to our seats. So so this is like the thing is that's really important to us in doing Quakes After 90 is we're fans, and we're willing to admit that we're fans, and we're not going to try to like, and yes, we've been called pundits and all that kind of stuff too. But like, we're not trying to pretend that we are part of the journalistic element. Yeah, like we are in a sense, we kind of are, and we put ourselves out there, but like we're not in the press box or anything, you know. We're fans, and that's why like we never got our press passes. Yeah, because we wanted to enjoy the game from the seats as fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever have people come to me? Oh my God, look, it's Phil Leyva and Dom.
Oh man, no, we're not like famous people, man. I'm just a dude, man. I'm just a dude. I would say like I've it's funny, like a couple times, because I just like talking, like I've had people be like, oh yeah, I recognize your voice. Or it's funny, one time I had a listener recognize me at my place of occupation.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, because I've been a high school teacher for several years, and I've worked full time for several years. And I'm doing something else right now, but this was, I think it was last year. We had a listener who saw me at work. I taught at Pittsburgh High School for several years, and his daughter was playing a sport. Oh wow! And was within the same conference or whatever they call it. So that's awesome. I guess sometimes like sometimes that happens. But
like when you just yell Dom or something at the stadium, they're like, oh my God, it's the Quakes After 90 people.
Oh no, I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. I'm just a dude, man. I'm just a guy who started a podcast several years ago, and some people listen to it, and every once in a while they recognize my voice, or maybe they'll have seen my face on Twitter or something like that. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, bluegrass, right? That's what it's about. So.
Grassroots.
Grassroots. I'm sorry.
No, I got
my bad.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, dude, bluegrass music, bro.
Bluegrass music. Oh man, hardly strictly. Just.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is ramen before a game. Are you wearing a jersey? Are you that ballsy?
Oh no, no, man. So that's funny that you say that, because I've had that happen before. Like, so obviously COVID times right now. I've gained some weight and everything. Like, not a lot, but like I've gained some weight. But yeah, even when I was like at my thinnest, because I can fit into a authentic medium when I'm in shape, like just fine, like it looks great.
No, I mean like
not to talk myself up too much, but then I eat a bowl of ramen and you're like, your belly just sticks out.
No,
it's like Naruto. You ever watch Naruto?
I'm talking about stains, getting stains on your jersey.
Oh, okay. It's funny that my mind went there first. Yeah. No. So yeah, stains on your jersey, Naruto stomach, like fully out, like Yeah, that's definitely all part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got to know the Phil Leyva, the Phil Leyva.
The
Yeah. So
Thanks,
a
Favi.
little bit. Yeah. But I guess we're gonna go into talking a little bit about our team that we're here to talk about, right? So
Yeah.
we have a little bit of Quakes news. We talked about it a little bit before about Danny Huzzan going under for oblique surgery. So the abductor muscle, he went in for surgery. It went successfully, performed by Dr. Williams Brown. So it's expected to be sidelined for the remainder of this season. Phil, do we have to fill that spot?
Well, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And there's room, right? Like I just feel like that's something, but that's something that the Quakes already needed.
Right.
This isn't really new. I mean, Huzzan has been injured off and on throughout the season.
Right.
And the Quakes have needed something more in that position.
Yeah.
The fact that Andy Rios has been sitting there has maybe made it, even more obvious to fans. Like, I don't know, but I know that talking with my Quakes friends, that's something that we identified long ago. With the forward position has been problematic, and you can't rely on a 37-year-old man as much as we love him, Chris Wanda,
right,
to continue to fulfill that role, especially under Matias Almeida's system. And Wanda was still all over the pitch at times. We saw that in the LAFC game, right? He was all over the pitch at times, and you can't expect him to do that, even though he was a cross-country runner at De La Salle High School back in the day, even though he could have gotten a scholarship to do that in college and did soccer instead and went to Chico State to do that. It's just like you can't rely on that. So there needs to be, but also I think it adds another dimension to the team when you have somebody who can hold the ball really well and who's a good passer. Now, Andy Rios is a decent passer. I think that's, watching the last couple of games, I think that's the one. I remember, and I was very critical of Andy Rios, and I still am. I'm not holding back on that. But I said to myself, what box does he check off for, when it comes to the different aptitudes that a player has? Like, what is he good at, to put it simply? And I think that's the thing is he can pass. Occasionally he'll hit a decent shot. He scored goals, like he's done it in his career. But it's not enough. So to go back to the original thing, the question about filling that spot, yes, I think the Quakes need to bring in somebody who can hold the ball, a true number 9 player, and who can change the pace of the game in 2 different ways. To calm the team, once they get into the 18, to really like bring it down and do what the best teams in the world do, which is execute in the 18-yard box, in and around the 18-yard box.
Right.
Who have that sense of this is just part of the game and we're going to score a goal. Right, because the crap teams, what happens when they get to the 18-yard box? The player gets the ball, they get all antsy, they get nervous, they do a quick pass, and then next thing you know, the other team is in possession or the other team is counterattacking. So we need somebody who can do that. But also, I think, especially with this team, it helps to have somebody who can keep up the tempo of play, who can keep the team moving forward when they're in possession. And I know that seems kind of like, what's a good word for it? Like, 2 different things. Oxymoronic maybe is a way to say it, but because it's 2 different skills, right? But I think it's important to have a player who can do that. And I don't think Andy Rios is doing either one of those things. So if we can get somebody to do one of the 2, then you actually have a dimension of attack, whether you're steady and poised and methodical in your attack, or you go right in and you just like shove it down the other team's throat, because I think the Quakes can do that too. And this system, especially early on in the game before the subs and perhaps even later on. So,
So going back to your Andy Rios tidbit, he actually did a really good job doing those same kind of across the field passes that Magnus Eriksson was doing. So I thought I think he delivered about 3 of them where I was like, okay, I mean, someone threw the ball into him and then he just quickly turned and passed it over to the other side of the field.
I actually had that in my notes from the game. I wrote down Andy Rios again looking uninspired. However, that was the first thing I wrote down. However, right after that, I wrote nice ball to switch play in the 19th minute. And then again, right after in the 20th minute, he did. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And it's funny that you mentioned that, you bring that up, because that's not even what my initial thought was in terms of his passing. Like every once in a while, he'll have a quick like flick pass or something, and he's capable of doing that. He's capable of keeping the tempo of the play up, but he just hasn't been doing it. And I don't know if it's a motivation thing or if it's a fitness thing. Or
it almost looks simply, like
it. I don't know. I can only guess. What's going on. But because obviously he's got something. If he was able to play like a team for like Club America, like he's got something.
Yeah. The player that you were describing with the 2 traits that we can go ahead and see that we need is kind of a player like Rui Diaz for Seattle. I mean,
Exactly. That's a great example.
Great job doing both of those things.
Oh, he's a speedster. Yeah, that's a perfect example. I think a guy like Rui Diaz to come in and play that role, I think that changes the dynamic of a team. It completely changes the dynamic of a team.
Yeah, and Seattle, I mean, is reaping the benefits. They brought in Lodeto. They still have Jordan.
And they have two. They have Jordan Morris, too.
Yeah, right.
Both of those guys can do that. And Morris is like a freaking Swiss Army knife, man. I love to watch him. He's a great player. But
it's fun. He's fun. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun. I think he's great in this. I'm so glad he stayed in MLS. I think he's doing overall his career. It's going to be better that he stayed here in the States and played.
You think so?
It's just, I think so. I mean, he could have had some success in Europe. Who knows? But I don't think he was going to find like Premier League success or anything like that.
Do you think he could like maybe find some, at least like some second tier European league success? I think so. Maybe like the Netherlands.
I mean, I think he could even find first tier European success. Okay. But I don't know that that's what's best. I don't know. Like, and when we say success, right, that's super subjective. Like, what does that mean? Does he get some minutes? Does he score goals? Like, I think he can get some time with a good team in Europe, with a decent team. I mean, he can definitely play in the English Championship, and that's a great league. Yeah. You know, he can definitely play there, in my opinion. Yeah. Maybe he can find somewhere in Germany, right? Yeah. American players have found success in Germany. So I think it's possible that Morris could have. I think it's possible that he can even now. Yeah. But man, he's got such a good thing going on in Seattle, and he's a good player. I don't know if I want to say that he is. So Dom, it's funny because the other day I was talking to Dom, and I think it was actually on the podcast, and he said, like, in his opinion, I completely disagree with this. Sorry, Dom. He said Chelsea Zardes is the best striker in the pool right now for the United States.
Yeah, I remember that.
I completely disagree with that. But I think Morris is up there in that discussion when it comes to like Chelsea Zardes and stuff too. But I don't know if he's quite the one.
Zardes might be the best on form right now. That's
most definitely. And don't get me wrong, man. Josie Zardes is great. I love watching him play. His touch has gotten better. And that was the biggest gripe that people had against him. Right. I do like Josie Zardes a lot. Even when he was with the Galaxy, I enjoyed watching him play. But I don't know that he's the number one in the striker pool. I still am big on Josie. I know a lot of people don't like Josie.
Yeah, I like Josie too.
But like pure skill, if he's in shape, I think is the best striker in the pool. Yeah. I think Josh Sargent, who's currently in Germany right now, I think he's pretty talented. Yeah. And then there are other guys. Timothy Weah is great. Like you have some up and comers who are have the potential to play moving forward for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, Jordan Morris is about 25, right? If I'm getting that right.
I haven't. Yeah, man, it's hard to keep track. That sounds right.
Because he got out of college, right, at 23, and he's been playing for maybe
it's cool. And actually, I think RSL has a player who played with Jordan Morris, so they're probably about the same. I think Baird, is that his name, Baird? Corey Baird, Corey Bard.
Sounds familiar.
Baird, I think. Anyway, and he's very talented too. But yeah, so he's probably a little older. I want to say 27. I'm gonna look it up right now. Yeah. And confirm.
So what
we have the internet. We can look things up.
Yeah. But I was saying, I mean, imagine being, 25 to 27 years old, playing for one of the best teams in MLS, and you're still going to get looks for the U.S. national team, and you got a lot of fans out there loving you in Seattle. Why would you? Yeah. I mean, I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. He is 25, just to confirm. Yeah, but 25. You know what? He might move across the Atlantic and find success.
Across the pond.
Who knows? Across the pond. Across the pond. He can move across the pond and find success, man. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
There's not a lot of suitors. I'm amazed we don't see rumors.
Who knows, man? Who knows? There might be. There were. I thought there were rumors. I mean, he did go over and train in, I want to say, in Germany, like for a quick stint, right? But this happens to a lot of players. Like even like Nick Lima went overseas and trained, right?
Right,
so
right.
Like any national team prospects will go over and do this. But I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Europe. But I think, man, he should be like Wanda, spend his time here in the States. Play straight here. I think he's good for the league. He's a great role model. He's a straightforward guy. He's diabetic, and he shows that he can play despite his type 1 diabetes. And he's just a great guy all around. Love Jordan Morris.
We're talking about Jordan Morris because he burnt us like no player has ever burnt us.
So newer Quakes fans know him as the guy who just completely toasted Florian Jongwirth.
And they made like bazillion highlight reels of it with drone footage and everything.
Yeah, but appropriate, I would say, and it was necessary. So that was a really bad moment for the team. Yeah. That is the worst moment I think
that's the low light of the season.
In terms of a tactical breakdown, and it was a 7-1 loss. That too.
Yeah, and I would say because all the big American pundits were reposting that one, it's like, oh, that's not a good look for us at all.
Yeah. So, and then that brought a lot of criticism onto Matias Almeida and how
Yeah.
he's running his system too, which I know is another topic that we can talk about. I don't know if we're ready
Yeah.
for that quite yet, or if we want to continue talking about the game
The news.
against
Yeah. Let me.
LA
So
or the news. Oh God, I don't even know where
yeah.
we are.
Yeah. So we kind of we went off on a little tangent. We're having a little bit of fun. But so really quickly, the Quakes actually got fined for their antics after the goal that they scored against LAFC. Players Huzzan and Paul Marie were in violation of the league's policy regarding entering the field of play. Both players have been issued an undisclosed fee for their actions in the 94th minute of San Jose's match against LAFC. What do you think of that, Phil?
I think it's stupid, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
but I mean that's my opinion. But I've been a big American football fan for several years, and I've been, I've seen the changes that the NFL has made, and college football as well, the NCAA, and the changes and rules that have been made about celebrating. And it's like, come on, this is a big moment for the team.
Right.
Let them do their thing. Like, but I don't know. I don't know the whole context. And you said, I'm sorry, I didn't even really catch this news. So who are the players that got fined?
It came out today. It was undisclosed. So I'm in the camp that, man, this is like the no fun league right now. What's going on?
Yeah. Wait. So were these players? These were players who were on the bench, or they've been
and
subbed
they ran
out already?
onto the field to celebrate.
Yeah. So I understand why. I understand why they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like, hey, give the players a warning. Tell them to go back. Say if this happens again, then we'll fine you. Set a precedent for the team in the moment, right? A current precedent. Set one for the team particularly, man. Because come on. You score a goal at the end of the match in the 94th minute.
Yeah.
Let the players celebrate. Right. And if they step over the line a little bit, get them back in line, get the game going. And it's just another like dumb thing from the disco, honestly.
I saw a couple of things on Twitter saying, "Oh, this is the MLS or the disco protecting their baby in LAFC." I mean, they didn't want to have people celebrating against their team, their baby.
So. Yeah, I don't know if I agree, but I would say that there have been moments in which the league protects their. We've seen it with LA Galaxy, no doubt.
Yeah,
there are facts there that prove that. But
the fourth,
I don't know if I agree with it in this case. But it's a silly, it's a interesting sentiment. I think it's possible.
We don't even get VAR love, and now we're just getting fined. All right, I mean,
I know that's the truth.
Yeah, but what's up with VAR love? Like, who do we have to? I mean, who is on just? Not like the Vaco goal that happened. Why not just go to the block?
I don't know.
Quick?
That was terrible. But let me tell you something, man. In this league for the Earthquakes, it's not. It goes beyond that. It's also the penalty calls as well. There has been a recent history of this for this team. And when I say recent, I mean actually like several years consecutively in which the team just doesn't get the calls.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not too surprised by this.
I'm kind of honestly, when I see Tommy in the game and gets that call, I honestly feel like even if it's a flop, it's making up for
it was definitely an embellishment. Yeah, but I would say that the call was necessary. It was a necessary call, but let's not kid ourselves. Tommy went down purposefully to get the call, but considering the context, it was the right call. Even if it looked like a flop.
And then another bit of news. I know Ivan wanted us to talk about this. This is going to be a little bit in the realm of what's going on in the world right now. Since Ivan is from San Diego, he wanted to talk about Landon Donovan's team a bit. The San Diego Loyal. They actually forfeited their second straight game due to not a racial slur. I believe it's derogatory slur to an openly gay player.
It was a homophobic slur. It was a homophobic slur that was used.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they went up to the ref and they told the ref, but I believe the slur was in a different language. So the ref actually didn't know what the slur was. So he didn't call the game.
Right. And players like Landon Donovan, who've been around the game a long time, know those terms, right? Some of us may have heard that on the pitch before playing against people who use that kind of language. I don't know. I mean, should we just give our opinions on this? Because personally, I think whatever Landon felt was appropriate in the moment was the right thing to do. And he felt that taking his team off the pitch. I think I saw some of this. I saw some of the video, and I think the big concern with Donovan, and I could be wrong here, is that the ref was unwilling to give that player a red card and remove him from the game. And that's why they conceded. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it was. Because then he was like, fine, if you're not going to recognize that this is a problem in the game and we're going to leave, this, yeah, exactly, that this is completely inappropriate.
Right.
We're not going to play. We're not going to play on the same field with someone who is not willing to recognize this sort of behavior from a player, which is inappropriate.
And they were up 3-1, I believe, and then they conceded the game 0-3 after they left.
Landon Donovan is a legend, right?
Right. Yeah. They should definitely.
I'm sure even the San Diego fans are just like, all right, we put our faith in Landon.
And that's Ivan. Ivan's a loyal fan as well. So they completely understand why they did it, and they actually forfeited their second straight game. So we should definitely see how this news story kind of evolves throughout our podcast and see what goes on, because they do need to make some changes, and the USL is kind of just dropping the ball on this. I mean, they're not doing anything about it.
So Favi, I got a question for you, because I this is a big contentious point with me and a lot of my Quakes friends, and I might be on the minority here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Landon Donovan as a former Quakes player and as a fan?
I think I personally don't like that he went to Everton to play, for Europe and then come back and play for the Galaxy. I think I like him though. I mean, he got some championships. We would have got some more if we didn't go to Houston. So
yes.
I think he's an American legend. I'm a big American soccer fan.
Me too. Me too.
So I don't hold too many grudges against people. I think it's all about the love of the sport, and you can't be. I mean, we're not talking about Barcelona Real. We're not talking about Liverpool Man United. But it is a really big rivalry. But I think, unfortunately, I understand it.
So yeah, and I'm not even on the fence about this. I love Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
Period. I love what he did for the Quakes when he was here. He's from Southern California.
Right.
And it's funny, we mentioned the favorite Quakes moment.
Yeah.
My favorite moment ever in sports, including like every sport, is when Landon Donovan scored against Algeria in the World Cup in 2010. That is my favorite moment in sports.
It's a great moment.
No matter what Donovan did in MLS against the Quakes or whatever,
right?
I don't care. And actually, it was this is bad, but I remember when he came back. I think there was an exhibition match, and he was playing with Leon, and he scored against the Quakes. This was only a couple of years ago, but that was even then I was like, all right, whatever, man. He's no Judas to me. He's just Landon.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, there needs to be villains, and I like that he's a villain, because I like the narrative, right? I'm just like one of the fans that want to hate a guy, and hating LA, losing a guy because LA's flashier and nicer, and they offered him, I believe it was more money and things like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's all a part of the emotion.
Thank you for saying that, because I was afraid people were going to tune out of the podcast because they're like, screw this Phil guy coming on here and ruining Tectonic takes. Because I know I'm in the minority in that opinion, but I feel it. Like, I get it, and I agree. I think it's kind of funny to have, not funny, but I think it's good to have that villain.
Yeah. So if you've heard, I'm Uruguayan, so Suarez is our guy. So I understand.
Oh God, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, there you go. So man. I understand the villain. I like him being the villain. I think
guys got some chompers, man.
He plays his role. Hey, man, some guys, when they're on the pitch, they will do.
And I'm not talking about the size of the teeth. I'm talking about, like, he is chomping down on other players.
Yeah, of course, dude. I remember that game. I was so mad. I was like, because Uruguay looked like they could almost win it all, or even make the semis or something, and he does that, and I'm just like, dude, come on, man. I defended him all this with Patrick.
I know, and I like Liverpool and everything. So I guess it's kind of, but man,
yeah,
Suarez. Yeah, okay. So you're Uruguayan. So Lodero, right, is Uruguayan. Yeah. So there's a lot of talent on such a small country.
Right, and they
won the first World Cup. Like,
yeah, we're lucky. So I have a lot of Mexican friends that just like Mexico recently won against Uruguay. I think it was a Confederation Cup, but they always rubbed it in my face, and I always told them, you know what? When you guys win a World Cup, we'll talk.
That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. For American fans, it's 2-0. That's all you got to say.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? The first World Cup that the Uruguay won was against the United States. So
and what that was in 1930 something. I mean,
like 1950. Yeah, so
no one remembered. Nobody was.
But that's the craziest thing. So I mean, we were up there, and then we just declined, and then we're up on the uphill
swing.
Yeah.
No, I got you, bro. Anyway, okay. I feel like we took quite a tangent here. So where are we?
This is Tectonic.
I'm not the host of this show, but it's just a tendency that I have. I'm sorry.
No worries. This is Tectonic Takes, where we go on tangents. I mean, if you want to listen to soccer, But all right, let's get into the LAFC game. So, Phil, this is an honor to have you on because this is the first Tectonic Takes episode that is a win.
Oh,
so we have.
Hey, I really don't know what that feels like much.
Yeah,
either,
this is this is our first show with a win. All right, I've always been really optimistic, and now we can finally bask in it, right?
So yeah, exactly.
Do you have any notes about the game that you?
I got a few. I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to go over everything. But yeah, I might have a couple of Tectonic takes in my notes. Now, one of the big ones for me, and I think fans are starting to agree, is Marcos Lopez is really starting to come into his own in that position, the left back position. And I said quite a while back now, Lopez is perhaps the best crosser from the left side of the pitch on this team. Oh, wow. And he's starting to show it. And you see him on corners and stuff too. I mean, he's good at delivering. He delivers a good ball in. So maybe that's not a Tectonic test, but we'll just say it's fair to recognize how much improved Lopez is from last season. And also we have to mention that Fierro is actually much improved from where he's been playing too. And I think actually a lot of the team hinges on performances from guys like this. Yeah, definitely. Even though it's 1-2 spots on the pitch. And especially Fierro, because I think like when he's playing well, the team plays well. Right. Like, that's what I'm seeing from him. So so he looked really inspired, and it's crazy because he kind of just came on as a late sub in a lot of games. Like I think it was the end of last season, and then seeing him this year, kind of here and there. And when I see him on the pitch now, he looks like he is a really like he's been woven into the fabric of the team. Like he's an important part of this team already in a couple games. So I think it's great to see him performing at such a level. And when you have Lopez, Fierro, Jackson Yule, all these guys performing well like they did in this match, you're going to start seeing wins. Right. Because the players are confident in one another. And when they're confident in one another, they can rely on one another to make the smart plays in this type of a system. Yeah, so just kind of on the tidbits that you were talking about, we did pay a big chunk of change for Marcos Lopez. So we did expect him to kind of be something because $500,000 from this organization is not cheap. Right, so, and he's like a huge prospect, right? He's only 20 years old. He's a Peruvian international player. He's getting call-ups to the national team. This has already been a thing for a while, right? But yes. And at first, it didn't seem like that bet paid off, did it? Yeah, it was pretty bad. It seemed like, but Carlos. Speaking about that, Carlos Fierro, it looks like he might be peeling off that bus label pretty quickly. If he if he keeps on playing the way he's playing, people can't really give Jesse stuff about that transfer. It's just that he's for too long been consistently poor on the field, right? Before he was with the Quakes, and when he was in Mexico with, I think Cruz Azul was the last team. I could be wrong there, but no. That was the last team he was with. Okay. It was the same thing. He just wasn't getting the time, but he just had this potential when he played at Chivas. That we saw. And when I say we, I mean like general soccer fans who had heard of him before he came to the Quakes. And I don't know, maybe he is going to start to reach that potential. And I don't want to go too far into the Matias Almeida discussion yet. Yeah. But I think when you have a system that has such a solid foundation, good or bad, you're going to start to see this from players. Right. They're going to like get into their stride. They're going to start performing better. As we were talking to Kevin Partida in an interview, our last episode, his dad was a big fan of Cruz Azul, and he was telling us that basically that whole team has underperformed. So it might be a case where they're not reaching their potential as a team, and that kind of affected Fierro a little bit. Yeah, so I could see that. As a Cruz Azul fan, Kevin Partida's dad kind of was showing a little insight on what maybe would have happened. I want to say here that this is a good moment to talk about some of the positives of Almeida's stubbornness with this team. Yeah, because this is yet another example of a player who has found good form within this system, despite the fact that the results haven't quite been there. Last year, Vaco was the first one. Right. Last season, for the first time that I saw, or since I've been watching Vaco play, for the first time last season, he hit his stride in this system. He started playing harder. He started winning balls. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this who are listening, but Vaco can win a ball very well. He can pickpocket very well. That is a quality that he has that a lot of people don't recognize.
Yeah, Kevin Partita was saying in our interview, again, sorry to plug it, but
No,
he was saying that Vaco is very strong on the ball. I mean, even if you know where he's going to go with his next position, he will not let you get that ball.
Nope.
And if he finds a way, I know I'm a Vaco stan right now, right? I'm his number one biggest fan. But if he finds a way to pass that ball, I know me and Phil were talking about a little bit before the podcast. Do you think he trusts his team? I mean, if he finds that last ball in the final third, we're looking at a Nicholas Lodeto, basically. Like, we're looking at a very good attacking player.
Yeah, my fear is Vaco, somebody at his age, I don't know if that's a skill that he's going to suddenly discover. Not being a ball hog.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, for real though, like Vaco is very technically good, and I think on the ball he's so strong, and yeah, I think Partita saying that is absolutely true. He's really strong on the ball, and he's a lot better defensively than people think. But to go back to my original point, last season we saw for the first time Vaco play with passion for this team, really wanting to play for Matias Almeida, really wanting to go out there and play his best and run back and win balls and then get back into the attack. And one great thing right now is he does look like one of the more fit players on the team throughout the run of the game, right? And you know, I'm not saying that he can go a full 90 as well as like some of the other guys who were in tip-top shape. But when he's on the field, when he's on the ball, he looks like he's still playing like, you know, at a very high rate, at a very high percentage of his overall. You know?
Definitely. And I just like how we were talking before, I think if we start to see better performances from certain players where it hinges other players to have better performances, we might see Vaco get unlocked again. And
I hope so.
I think the hardest thing about Fierro, though, kind of circling back, was that the wings was the hardest place to get a position on this team. And I think because we have Espinoza and Vaco, I mean, he could have came in as a sub, but he just wasn't as clinical, right? As the Shea Salinas, where he comes in. I remember hearing this from the Black and Azul podcast, where they talked about they had Shea Salinas on after the after the game for the press conference, and he says he feels a lot more comfortable coming in as a sub, and just because he knows that there's tired legs, he feels more comfortable coming on as a left back because he can kind of cheat. He sees that they're cheating, so he gets a lot more space instead of starting as a left back. Starting as a left back was a completely different game, and I thought that was a really interesting tidbit.
Sure, and I think that was really cool that it was discovered as a part of his abilities to play in that position.
Yeah,
because he pretty much played as a midfielder his entire career prior.
Right. Yeah, that was a little tangent, but
no, it's an interesting point to bring up, though. I think it's necessary.
Yeah, and so other things that we saw. JT come in the game. This is his first win. Can you believe that this is his first career MLS win for JT?
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, I thought he had a couple of good saves on there against Diego Rossi, the high school scorer.
That was big.
Huge. So that was a huge save.
Huge, big right paw, just knocked that ball away. That was
and he looked confident. He didn't look at one time where he thought he wasn't going to get it, and that's something you want to see, right? Sometimes
I think
Vega is a little not confident.
Where I'm not 100% on Cade Cowell coming in because honestly, like, look, I know people want to say JT's not that young anymore, but he's a goalkeeper, right? He's got years.
That's young.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What is he, 23 or something? But he's a goalkeeper. Okay.
Right.
So that point is moot. But I will say I'm not like huge on bringing the younger players in like Cade Cowell. I'm 100% on board with JT taking this position right now. I think he proved that he should be playing in the starting role. But also I think Daniel Vega is a really good role model for JT in a lot of ways, and in terms of like leadership and his passion for the game and even some of the fundamental goalkeeping stuff. But I think JT's already there. He doesn't need all that, but it's nice to have somebody like Vega in his corner should he get that starting position. Right.
And, you know, I didn't realize how close-knit this group of guys were. Daniel Vega actually on Twitter posted a picture of all of them together, hanging out. Yeah, hanging out outside.
Keepers are always, man. They're always tight like that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, maybe that's something I didn't realize. But it seems like Daniel Vega, I know he's had on-the-field problems, and a lot of Quakes fans are mad at his performances. But off the field, he looks like a great mentor. He looks like he wants to truly see JT succeed. I remember they cut to him one time during the game, and he was on the sideline, and he was having a great time cheering the guys on. So it seems he is a good, at least a good off the field presence, and kind of mentoring.
I think it's good for teams to say that. And I know I generalized a second ago. I said all keepers are not like that.
Yeah.
Back to John Bush and David Bingham was not like that. But like,
yeah, right. Bingham. No,
but I think you do see some good cores of some good groups of goalkeepers on teams that are like that. They want to see each other succeed, but they also have an understanding, right? Somebody's got that starting role.
Yeah.
And you got to try to win it from them, but it's a professional relationship,
Right.
and they want to help each other get better.
Yeah,
they want to help each other be better players.
And I guess I would say that's a Matias Almeida positive, man. I mean, he makes this team basically a family, and that's something that he brought in.
That's his biggest positive, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's probably. I mean, I know we're talking about Matias Almeida positives and being stubborn and all that, but I would say this is kind of like a tangent positive, right? Something that we didn't expect, right? And now we're starting to see these younger guys develop and get into those roles, like a JT Marcinkowski. Yeah, sorry. I always have trouble with that name. But we might see him flourish into a leader. And I remember we had Wanda on the season ticket holder kind of interview, and he was talking about how him and JT went to go talk to Almeida about the Black Lives Matter movement and how they're not going to play that day. So it kind of showed that JT was he felt like he was a leader in a sense where he could stand up to the coach. So we can definitely see leadership skills.
Definitely. And then the coach's understanding, the players like Almeida. There's no doubt in my mind. And look at what Wanda has to say about him. Right. I can only think of one other coach that had that much love from the players.
Was that Kinnear?
In the system, Dominic Kinnear.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a Dominic Kinnear fanboy, and I know a lot of people.
Are you really?
A huge Dominic. I love Dominic Kinnear. I thought he was
Kinnear
a great coach. I love, because he played with what was there in front of him. He maintained his system with and that's exactly what Matias Almeida is doing too.
Yeah.
But I nobody that I saw in the years that I watched the Quakes showed as much affection and defended their coach as much as when Dominic Kinnear. Like, I think players were literally like crying when Kinnear got like sacked.
Yeah, I remember that day. I remember
they filmed Wanda. And it's like
he was really agitated.
What a shame, because that really set back Kinnear's coaching career. I thought it was so special when he came back to the Quakes. Yeah, it was such a special moment to have our own Bay Area guy, and then for him to just get that from the fan base and not buy into his system in the way his players did.
Well, because that
was the problem, man. Right? When Doyle was the GM and Fiorinelli is figuring things out, and I have my fingers crossed that Fiorinelli is going to unlock this with Almeida. Yeah. But Kinnear was special because of what the players believed in with him. But also, man, think about which other coach could have done that. Yeah. With John Doyle as the general manager.
Well, so I kind of referring to this upcoming LA Galaxy game. He's the assistant coach for the Galaxy, and there is people on Twitter that want the Quakes to win so that they actually fire their coach, Barrios. I think it's Chileto. Yeah. So.
Guillermo
Barrios Chileto.
Yeah. Former MLS player too. Played for.
Yeah. So and they want Dom Kinnear to take over. So I can definitely. I don't know if they're ready for Kinnear ball because it's not very attractive, especially in LA.
Well, I would say that, first of all, Barros Schelotto is probably not going to be that easy to unseat. But secondly, when you have Kinnear with the talent that Galaxy have, the talent potential that they have, I think you're going to see a different type of game. Because with the thing with people call it Kinnear ball as a pejorative, but the thing with Kinnear ball is when he was with the Quakes is it was like a stopgap. Kinnear had to put in a system that prevented them from getting completely wiped out.
Right, like 7-1. 5-1.
Like what we're seeing with Matias now, right? But he's sticking to his guns, the same thing but Kinnear came in and he had a really conservative system that allowed for the Quakes to have a chance every game. It wasn't pleasant for a lot of people to watch because there was a lot of possession that was negative possession. There wasn't a lot of like attacking going forward, right?
Right.
But here's the other thing: like the Quakes, aside from Chris Wondolowski, really were not capitalizing or creating opportunities. But they weren't capitalizing on the opportunities. The expected goals for the Quakes, it just didn't match up.
I remember that
their potential was. Yeah, and the players were not finishing. And I don't need to name drop here, but like there was just some real crap on the team in terms of the attacking and the finishing. Wanda was not one of them.
Okay. Yeah, and so back to kind of like the LAFC game, Yule's goal marked his first career-winning goal. So that was kind of a nice little tidbit.
What a nice little game for Jackson Yule.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Favi.
Yeah, no worries. I ate my words hard. I posted on Twitter halftime that Jackson Yule was the worst player on the pitch.
Yeah, I saw that tweet actually, and I didn't know that was you. I remember scrolling through it. I was like, because I was like, nah. Yeah, but no, because I marked down in my notes for the first half that Yule actually, his spatial awareness was so much improved this match, especially when he was on the ball. I noticed that, and I'm comparing this to the last LAFC match, because if you remember from the last LAFC match, Bob Bradley really had his players pressing like double. He like had them doubling up on the player, and the Quakes were so slow to react. Well, I thought Yule's reactions were so much better this match. Like they had done their homework. They were ready for LAFC. Yeah. And Yule was a big part of that. I thought that was the thing, you know, you gotta have that. You gotta have somebody to be able to do that. You know, Magnus was able to do that for a lot for the Quakes during the MLS's back tournament. And and you need that release valve. You need somebody to be smart and ready to go in the midfield. Yule did it.
Yeah, and the problem I think I was having was I guess I have a lot to learn, and I'll admit that I have a lot to learn.
Do, man. We all do. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. So
and what I was kind of flashbacking to was when Eriksson would give up those passes that were right to the other team, or when he would give up a really bad turnover. I remember there was a time where Yule turned around and didn't look long enough to realize that the player kind of cut in on the passing lane already, and he still passed it to him. So I saw these glaring things and kind of let that overshadow, I guess, the whole defensive game plan. And I made that tweet, and it was just, oh, that was such a bad
You
tweet.
Regretted it, huh?
I was talking more like a fan. Yeah.
No, it's all good. No, that's usually, I mean, that's all we are, right? We're people who watch soccer, and then we make comments on it.
Yeah.
You know, we can be big, like, nerd analysts and dig out all the stats, and sometimes we do, but, like, sometimes you just see things and you're right, and sometimes you see something and you're wrong, and that's all that was.
But it was funny to see that how much that aged like milk. So I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah, that real quick, man. You bought that milk on the expiration date.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, Phil, what'd you think your one stud and your one dud was?
Oh, we're at studs and duds. Cool.
We're already there.
I know. I love this. You guys are using this.
We wanted to give a big shout out to you guys every time we do it. So this is a nod to you guys.
Well, I didn't know we were already there. I would have gotten the little soundboard thing ready to go. But
no worries.
Let me see. Here's what I got in my notes. Wait, let me make sure I didn't have anything else that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, please. We
didn't talk a whole lot about the second half, really.
Yeah,
I guess I can mention it as I go through my studs and duds. I guess
they played a very compact game. I thought they were they were really good at playing this whole new kind of. I guess LAFC went in.
Yeah.
They were gonna get the same of the same, right? And Almeida did a great job, kind of not doing that.
I would characterize it as aware and ready and prepared. They were prepared for this match. It's funny you said compact. That's the term you chose. When I hear the word compact when it comes to coaching, Bob Bradley is like the first name that comes to mind when I think of it. You know, when I think of his teams and what he does, especially with LAFC.
But we came into this game already knowing that we won't have the possession. So I thought that was kind of cool, realizing that they kind of got that they weren't going to get the possession for at least half of the game, and then that they can because they knew they were down on, like training time and healing time and recovery time. So they kind of second half game really released all the hounds basically.
Yeah, man. The second half was much different from the first half. And that's a really telling stat for this match, particularly is possession. I'm kind of like reticent to bring this up sometimes, but I think possession's important in this case because at the half, the possession was 40-60 in favor of LAFC. And at the end of the match, it was 47-53 in favor of LAFC. So yes, the Quakes came out with a different approach in the second half.
Right.
Had in the first half. They came out a little bit differently. So possession isn't telling all the time, but I think in this case it kind of was. So kind of interesting fact that you bring up there with that. Yeah,
and then so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of say Espinoza had a different bite that game. I mean, is
that your stud?
Yeah, that was my stud. I mean, he was pissed that game, man. Bouncing the ball off the floor, just getting yellow carded.
Isn't he great to watch, man? Isn't he like a great? He's just like your passionate, angry guy sometimes.
Just your passionate, angry.
But what's important? What's important is that he maintained it. Throughout the match.
Right. Just like with the separate. I mean, he had a bite to him. And I like that. I like to see that fire. I know Wanda last week said we were mentally weak, and that didn't look mentally weak. So something got something happened to this team this week where they were like, we can win this game.
I'm probably going to end up eating crow for this, but I think Matthias' system is going to pan out, and I think it's a matter of time.
No,
I think it's a matter of time. I think a lot of folks are wrong, and like I said, I'll eat crow if I have to, but I think it's necessary for Matias Almeida to have this time. And I got a really lengthy response about the Quakes After 90 podcast on Reddit from a listener who, he's been with us for a long time. Love the guy. But he's like, how much longer do we have to wait? But I think right now, considering where the Quakes were in 2018, where they were last year, and where this team is eventually going to head, if the foundation is laid with Matias Almeida, I think it's worth the wait. I think we have evidence that players are improving in their particular development. I don't think the development is stunted in these players like some people are claiming. I think we're seeing that. We're seeing guys improve. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going off on a huge tangent here.
What would you say for the fan that kind of comes up to you and says, yeah, Nick Lima's development has been stunted for sure?
Yeah, but also Nick Lima has shown this a little bit, not only with the Earthquakes, but with the U.S. men's national team. And I think this is like a mountain and valley type thing where like he's just at a valley right now.
Yeah.
He's going to get better. And we're seeing glimpses of it. We've seen some pretty good matches from Nick Lima, but yes, you're absolutely right. We've seen some inconsistency with Nick Lima that's been quite unexpected. But there are other cases of players who are like most recently, it has to be Fierro is like
right,
and like just turn it on, bought into the system, and he's playing for the team, he's playing for the coach.
Right.
Espinoza is already one of those guys, so we're just talking about him.
Yeah.
Lopez is another guy who we've seen resurge recently, and my hope is that we continue to see this from players. Now, some guys are already there. Whether or not what they have remaining of their talent to give to the team is there, I don't know. But like Chris Wanda, Lasky, for example, is already there with he's going to buy into whatever.
Exactly.
So I mean, I could eat some crow. I could be proven wrong. But I think with the time they're going to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen against this LA Galaxy team because this is a good team. They're in poor form right now, but it's a good team.
With Sebastian Lletget kind of leading the charge in the cam spot.
Right.
We're going to see Chicharito. So let's see what if Chicharito gets his first competitive goal against us? That's going to
I wouldn't be surprised. His first competitive goal in MLS, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And
so I don't know. So I think this is a good time for me to give my stud then, because my stud is the goalkeeper for the Earthquakes, JT Marcinkowski. And I think he can. We saw what he did against Rossi on that opportunity. That was a very telling moment in the match.
Definitely.
And for that's not a save that Vega's been making.
Right.
That's not a save that he's been making.
I agree.
So to have a player like JT Marcinkowski come in and make that save, in addition to the other things he's already doing and some of the things that Vega does well.
Right.
Distribution, Marcinkowski talking about stats, 26 for 31.
I think
not bad for a goalkeeper. He can play with his feet, which is great.
I think JT's distribution is miles ahead of Vega's. And I like the fast kind of put the ball out counterattack. We haven't seen that with Vega ever.
No, you're seeing some very quick decision making from JT.
Yeah,
you're seeing his head on a swivel. This is something that we see in some of the better keepers in the league. Just very quick. Like when Zach Steffen was in the league, that's something we saw of him.
Yeah,
Tim Howard is very, very head on a swivel. Type of guy. Looks for the pass right away. Wants to set the counterattack. I do like to see that. I like that JT is.
Yeah, and we don't really have a lot of pace up top, but we do have pace on the wings. So when seeing Fierro or Espinoza take that really quick counterattack and see what we can get out of that is a new. I mean, we haven't seen that in the games that we lost. So it's definitely something that we bring to the table when we start. JT.
Definitely. And when you've got a guy like Cade Cowell who pretty much helped to win the game for the Earthquakes.
Exactly.
Running up the pitch like that. Yeah, that's definitely another dimension that can be unlocked for this team.
So
to go back to your point on Espinoza, man, Cowell, Espinoza, and then sending that ball in and allowing Yule to –
right.
And good on Yule, man, for making that run.
Yeah.
94 minutes into the game, that's tough.
And he believed that they were going to get –
He did, but I tell you, man, this is more evidence of a system that could work when the players buy into it. It's just really unfortunate that the losing results were such heavy results. That really sucks because that took away so much of what the potential from people from seeing the potential. I don't know if that was well articulated, but you see what I'm saying? Like
definitely
it just belies it. Like you're not seeing the potential when the losses are so bad. But the potential is there. When you have a midfielder like Jackson Ewell, who is a good player, but has looked exhausted this season playing for this team. He's looked tired. He and Tommy and a couple of the other guys. when he's making that run in the 94th minute to score the game-winning goal, that says something about your coach, and that says something about the system that you have in place.
Yeah, he's totally bought in. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, JT Marcinkowski, that's my stud.
Yeah, and do you have a dud that sticks out to you?
Yes, Andy Rios.
Okay.
And let me not just say Andy Rios, and because he's been like the hated player by a lot of hated is not the right word. His performances have been hated. The player's not hated, right? Nobody dislikes him personally. But Rios, the only consistent thing about Andy Rios is that he is all over the pitch.
Right.
And there were 3 players who started for this team that were all over the pitch during this match. One who was completely justified in Judson, and Wanda, Lasky, who that's actually kind of like a part of who he is as a player. I think obviously he's best when he's in the box, just creating headaches for the center backs, right?
Right.
But Wando has that element of his game, and he's a pretty fit guy for his age, and so he's pretty fluid sometimes. Now, Wando didn't have the best game either, but Andy Rios, with an exception of a couple good moments, which we don't normally see from him, was particularly poor in this match. And so of all the 3 guys that I just mentioned, he was the least effective.
Right.
I thought overall he was the dud for the team.
Yeah, and I thought he had a better performance than usual. And I myself, I think for me, it's the easier choice, unfortunately, because he still wasn't up to what we need, right? So definitely Andy Rios was my dud as well. Yeah.
It's funny when that happens, like when everybody we've had this on QuakesAfter90 quite a bit, where we'll all pick the same dud. And unfortunately, this season it's been Andy Rios again and again and again.
And I do want to see that form where he was playing for Club America. So there has to be something there, right? That Almeida saw. I mean, I know you guys were talking about this on QuakesAfter90, but these guys probably weren't their first choice, but there's still yes, and thank you for picking up on that. I have no way to substantiate that claim, but it just seems like that would be the case, right? $1.5 million for those 2 players, Andy Rios and Carlos Fierro, and it's like, is that really like who he pegged first? Yeah, because these are not, like you said, the Rui Diaz, right? This isn't. Yeah, I think that's the kind of player that or even the Politos, right? The Politos and things like that.
Oh man, that name that's like a dagger right to the heart. That hurt that the Quakes didn't get him, because that would have been such a great. And the fact that he went to Kansas City,
doesn't even need him.
Kansas City, Kansas, by the way, not Kansas City, Missouri. He went to Kansas City, Kansas to go play soccer instead of coming to the lovely, sunny, and currently smoky, but lovely, sunny Bay Area, California. With Bay Area.
Huge Latin and Mexican population that would treat him like a god.
I know, and he is a great player. He's a wonderful player.
But there still has to be a reason, coming back to the original point, why he was on that list. So I want to see that.
Let's not take that away from him. He's had some. I mean, he must have had a decent career, but he is. He's on the downside of his. He's in the twilight years of his career.
He's 31, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? He might extend his career farther on past the earthquake, because I think that's what's going to happen, and he might go for a while. He can be like, you guys had Andres Imperiale on the show. He's still playing, right?
Right. Exactly.
He's still playing. Who's he with right now?
He's with the second division team in Chile.
But, that's right. That's right. He didn't go back.
The owner was Argentinian, and he asked him to do a favor to see if he can bring it up to the first division again.
Cool, man. That's really cool that you guys got that insight on your show,
it was awesome. But he did have an offer.
He was pretty candid.
What we got out from him is I kind of just did a shot in the dark and was like, hey man, did you have an offer to
Oakland
come back?
Roots, huh?
Yeah, and to Oakland Roots, and he was like, no, but there was talks for me to come back to play for a USL team in Colorado. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of
maybe the switchbacks or whatever they have.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, he's like, how do you know? Who do you know? Who do you talk to? And I was like, no, man, that was just a shot in the dark.
He did say, who did you talk to? I heard him say that on the show.
But
that's cool. I mean, one of his kids is American too, Exactly.
It's like, and he had a lot of pride in that, and that was cool to see.
Good for him, man.
I know Vaco just had a kid here too, so there's probably a lot of players that.
These aren't the most prideful days for this country, but when you hear folks who immigrate here and say those kinds of things, man, it kind of like you feel that in your chest a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, when my dad talks about immigrating here in the good old days, it makes.
Yeah, and again, we don't need to go down that road necessarily, but growing up like first generation on my dad's side, like that was, there's a reason why he came here, and bad as things are, excuse me, as bad as things are sometimes,
Right.
here there are places from which people derive that are much worse. I'm not saying that those are bad countries, but sometimes the circumstances in which they are living are bad.
Yeah. So
sorry, I had to
LA
catch
Galaxy
myself there,
game.
Favi. My bad.
We're
Getting
talking about a
bad
lot
habits.
of tectonic takes right now, right? These are tectonic life takes.
All right, so we got our studs and duds in. We're good.
And then now we're on to the LA Galaxy game. We talked a little bit about this, kind of like the keys to winning. Will we see the I'll use the word again, compact Quakes go take it against the Galaxy, or will we see the original system that Almeida likes to use? I know you don't like talking system talk, but what
we're talking formation, right?
Yeah, formation talk. What do you think's going to be out there? Do you think we're going to see the same? I know this is a fan question later, so I'll just ask it right now. But do you think Kelvy Chalsies asked? Sorry,
My bad, bro. I don't mean to laugh.
Sorry.
What?
Her name is Kelvy Chalsies. Asked, will we see the same starting lineup? Phil, same starting lineup?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. Let me think here. Okay, hold up. Let me think.
I'm sorry. Kelsey.
No, it's okay. Let me see. So we had will we see the same formation? Okay, I'm stalling. I'm not meaning to stall.
I'm sorry, I ruined that name.
No. I think it's possible that we do see the same formation.
Okay.
Considering the players that are on the bench. Now, there could be a rotation in certain players. Maybe on the wings actually.
Okay.
Maybe we see another start from Cade Cowell.
Okay.
It's a possibility. Maybe Wanda doesn't start, but Andy Rios gets another start. I am going to assume that Andy Rios is starting the next game.
Yeah, especially with the Huzzan.
Not that I want it, but I would think that the center back pairing could also change. I don't know that we see Tanner Beeson. I would like to see Florian Youngworth in the match.
I think,
but maybe I don't know. I haven't looked at the injury sheet. Yeah, you caught me a little off guard on this one, but it's okay. I should have been better prepared. But I think that in the center back position, perhaps we could see a change. No Alanis, right? He's still out.
Yeah, he's still out. Mm-hmm.
And what about Goram Kashia?
So it's hard to find kind of these injury reports. So
yes.
When the Huzzan news came out, I was like, wow, they're actually showing us the injury report. But I think they're both out still. So we might.
Yeah, as you get further into your years as a Quakes fan, a little longer in the tooth, you're gonna see this. This is like a common thing. Yeah, I think. Well, let me see. Espinoza did not. He did start in this match. Okay.
Yeah,
he did start in the previous. It was Espinoza and Fierro on the wings. We had Yul Judson in the midfield. I think we had as well, and then Wanda, Lasky, Rios kind of doing their midfield forward thing.
Yeah.
And then I think Lopez, Beeson, Youngworth, Lima. Maybe we see somebody else at the right back position.
Right. If Lopez is hurt.
Well, that's the other thing. So Lopez is playing at the left back position.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. We could see. So perhaps we see Tommy Thompson back in the fullback position. Perhaps we see Shea Salinas in the fullback position at left back. I think those are possibilities.
Yeah, I don't think we see Tommy. He got burnt by Pavon, and that's going to happen again.
That's true. But how many options do we have at right back?
Right.
That's another issue.
I'd rather take Nick Lima and a Shea Salinas on the left type of deal instead of a Tommy Thompson out there.
Sure.
But this is the first time the Quakes will have a full rested week before a game. So I
think that's a big deal. So can I take this moment
to
talk about this? Because I think it's really important that we discuss this. And I don't think I've even heard anybody talk about this Charles Boehm article from MLSsoccer.com that came out on September 23rd. And I think it's really telling. And I haven't heard any pundits or anybody around the Quakes talk about this. Of course, I haven't been tuning into every show. That's, I just haven't had time to do that. But I do want to bring this up because I think it's really important. I think it's a good counter to some of the great points that other folks have put out there. Colin Etnier, formerly Aftershock Podcast, wrote this fantastic he's such a good writer. He wrote a fantastic article on Quakes Epicenter about why Almeida is not why he is the problem, I should say. Talking about Almeida's troubled past, talking about his tactics. One big quote, he's no Marcelo Bielsa, right? The transfers and the development, those are all issues that he brought up in that article. But I think one big point to simplify all of it, to detract from all that wonderful hard work that he put into that article and some of the other folks have done, is to talk about the rest. To talk about the rest that the players aren't getting and the training that they're not getting consistently. So let me bring up a couple of quotes from this Charles Boehm article because I think this is really important. So one is from MLS Español's Ariel Judas, And this is according to Charles Boehm, a veteran Argentine journalist who's covered Almeida and his teams for many years. So this is somebody who knows Almeida and his system. Okay, so this isn't just like Phil Leyva talking on his like podcast type of thing. This is like somebody who knows his stuff. So, quote, the main problem for me is that he can't impart his philosophy in the current situation. The air quality and the fact that they can't train normally hurts a lot. They were good in MLS's back because they were together 24/7, and that's a proper environment for a coach like Almeida to get the amount of effort he expects from his players.
Right.
He's likable, he can relate with his players, but he also wants full engagement from them, end quote. That was the one from Ariel Hudas. So the next one, and it's I do want to discuss these, but these are all on the same kind of like wavelength, right? So I'm just going to fire them off really quickly. The next one is from Tom Marshall, who's been writing for ESPN for a really long time. He's Guadalajara based, and he's a great journalist. So he says, quote, I honestly think the system can work. If you watch Leeds and Fulham against Fulham the other day, Leeds concede goals that aren't too different from some of the ones that the Earthquakes have conceded. Even Atalanta over in Italy, they also use that kind of man-marking system in defense. But it's a fine line because the players have to be absolutely 100% fit. They've got to be absolutely 100% dedicated. And they've got to be chasing everything like lunatics almost. They've got to be 100% involved. And that in some ways can make up for a deficit in talent. But obviously, the situation that he's had in recent weeks when you're traveling around, you've had the fires that you can't train properly, and the players, they look really tired. That's from Tom Marshall, who's been covering Almeida since he was the coach of Chivas. Yeah. From Ariel Hudas, who's been covering Almeida since he was a coach in Argentina. So those are really big things. And even when Almeida was on Radio Continental, which is a radio show in Argentina, he said, this is the last quote, I promise. He said, quote, it's there to see that we aren't being competitive. We have a lot of youngsters. The project here is different. Today, there's a big difference between the opponents we are playing and ourselves. Our team needs a different physical state.
Yeah.
I know well what we have and how far we can go, end quote. So unless you're, and Ed Nair was kind of on this point a little bit, that he doesn't think Almeida is necessarily a genius or anything. He just thinks he's a good coach, but he's not like the bee's knees. You know what I'm saying? Like he's no Marcelo Bielsa. But if you look at what the players are saying, what the analysts who have followed him for years are saying, and what Almeida himself is saying about the system and the lack of fitness for this team, I think that's incredibly telling. And that simplifies all the stats and everything. But I think that's the truth. I think that's the real issue with this team. And last thing, when you have a tired team like this, sometimes you get blown out 7-1.
Yeah. And they look tired. They really did. I mean,
they did, man. They did. You saw it. It's there to see.
Yeah. And as a casual fan, you could see that even Andy Rios didn't run all the way to get that Kid Cal pass versus Colorado. So they were tired. They were definitely tired. But
so going back to your point, they're going to have rest going into the LA Galaxy game.
Exactly. So what is your preview for the game? What do you think the score is going to be? Prediction?
Well, I guess I kind of have to go, like I've already put out all these quotes and everything, and I have to kind of build, they're getting the rest.
Yeah.
This is a home game. And Galaxy is a good team, but they are in poor form right now. They've lost their last 3 games. I hate doing predictions.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that the Quakes will get scored on in this match. To me, it seems inevitable. 2-1.
Yeah.
San Jose Earthquakes. 2-1. San Jose Earthquakes.
Shea Shalid this banger at the end?
Maybe we see it again, man. I would love to see that. But I think I would really like to see the Quakes take a lead and hold on to it.
Yeah, I would too.
I have a feeling they're like, if they can jump ahead early, use the rest they have, play their style that I just love Matias Almeida's style. I love the marking system. Play that style, put the pressure on Galaxy, score 2 goals right off the bat, and hold on to that lead. And if you had to concede one, all right, concede a goal.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the form that we saw in Orlando. We're going to see a rested team. There's no excuses about rest now. So they definitely are going to show up.
The air quality is still poor. I don't know what the situation is in terms of the training for the team. I don't know if they're training indoor. That's the type of question that, you know, if we had press passes and we had access, which also Matias doesn't always allow the press into those training.
Yeah, definitely.
Sessions. So he doesn't. That's a big deal. Yeah. But anyway, if they're well trained, but I don't know, man, is that going to take more time for these players to get into that form? I don't know. So there's a chance the Quakes they could lose, and it could be an ugly loss again. Let's hope not.
You think so?
There's a chance they could lose. Galaxy are bound to come back and play well again. I just hope that the Quakes aren't that opportunity for a rebound game, because they're playing out of form right now, but they have some real talent. Now, I'm not talking about Chicharito either. I'm talking about guys like you mentioned, Sebastian Lletget earlier. And they have an embarrassment of wealth in the midfield. Like they have some really talented players. Like they have Joe Corona, right? Like who for years has put it down. Like he's been a good player, U.S. national team player. They have Perry Kitchen. They have Pabon on the wings. Like they've got a lot of talent on this team. And didn't even mention Jonathan Dos Santos, perhaps the most talented player on the team. So anyway, I'm taking up a lot of air, Favi. Like
no, you're good, man. This is Tectonic Takes, baby. If you want to talk, you talk. But yeah, no, you're saying, I'm just sitting here in awe as a fan. I'm like, oh yeah, I agree with you, Phil. Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm glad to hear that, because I feel like, man, I say some like dumb stuff sometimes.
No, man, no, definitely not. But I agree. I want to say we see the Quakes in Orlando form and we win. I want to say 3-1. I want to say Espinoza gets on the score sheet, and we see a Quakes team keep their lead. And
right on.
Yep. So now we're gonna go.
I thought 3-1.
Yeah, you thought it.
I thought it was super biased to me, because I really want the team to score some goals. So
yeah,
I don't know. Who do you think is gonna score the goals?
Espinoza is gonna be on the score sheet, I believe. I want to see Vaco get on the score sheet again, and then probably Wanda Lasky as a sub or at the end.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen Wanda get some chances. I think he's going to get back on the score sheet again.
Yeah, he's due. I want him to get those 10 goals, right? So
he's got to, man. He's got to get them. You're right.
So we have our next point here. Thanks, guys, for kind of sticking through this whole Tectonic Takes episode without Ivan and with Phil. We're going to go on the kind of like the tangent takes right now, but I appreciate you guys staying through all of this. Again, fan questions are for you guys. We love being interactive with our fans. So if you guys ever have any questions for us, please respond to our posts and we'll definitely get it on air. The way it's going to work is Phil's going to answer one and then I'll answer one. But I'll go ahead and
it's exciting.
Yeah. So we'll kind of do this a little quickly since this has been a little bit of a longer episode.
Yeah. How we doing on time right now? We doing okay?
We're about an hour and 30 minutes, so it's good timing.
Okay, yeah. Let's close this thing out. Not too crazy. But let's do this. Let's answer these questions.
Okay. So Edwin Marquez from Facebook asks, "Will Marcinkowski start again versus the Galaxy?" Phil.
I want to say yes, but no. I think Vega's going to start.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So my question now is: will this be his second question? Will this be Wanda Lasky's final season? I think no. I think
absolutely not. Absolutely
I think he's going to come back.
Mm-hmm. He's already hinted at it, and I just feels like, considering how things went,
yeah. I think if Bradley Wright Phillips keeps scoring goals, he better come back.
Yeah, he's catching up, man. Kai Kamara's still around too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jared Connell from Facebook asks, "What's the vibe in the locker room? LAFC's victory was big, but still a challenging stretch up ahead. How's moral?" And what's the team's goal at this point in the season? So, Phil, I guess you can give your opinion on this, right? What do you think the locker room is like?
Yeah, so I'm not a journalist. I'll just put that out there. I don't write on the team or anything. I just kind of give my points of view as a fan and as somebody who's kind of like trying to be aware of what's going on. Anyway, that said, I believe that if you look at the quotes from players like Chris Wondolowski, yes. There is some difficulty with this team because they're, the way they responded to some of those losses. But I believe that the players are buying into the system. That's a part of it. That's part of the struggle, I think.
Yeah.
They know that there's a huge task ahead of them. And I think the frustration, a lot of it is that they're failing Almeida. And maybe I don't want to speak for these players because I don't know what they're thinking, right? It's impossible for me to know. But if I'm going to speculate, I got to think that like they're disappointed that they're not able to play for their coach in the way that they want to play and get the results that they want.
Right.
So but that being said, I think the morale is higher than what people are giving Almeida and this team credit for. I think it's better. And I think with this last result, it's where the Quakes should be. They're heading in the right direction.
Okay. And then what do you think a goal would be for them?
Could you elaborate on that? What do you mean by goal? Is this from you or is this from the? This is
for the fans. So he's probably saying a goal for the rest of the season.
Playoffs.
Okay, playoffs. Playoffs is 100% the goal, and we might sneak in there. So we'll see. We're lucky. This year is the year that 2/3 of the teams make it into the playoffs. So it could be a very good opportunity to make
And
it.
let's be clear about something. That's not Almeida's mindset.
Yeah.
Almeida has the mindset that a lot of Euro coaches have, that you play every game with passion. Actually, he criticized American players when he first came to the States to coach in MLS about how there is a lack of passion for winning every single game and scraping every single point off the table.
Okay. And then we have another question. So Kelsey Chalvez, I said him right now. Will we see the same starting lineup that beat LAFC this weekend? We talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate. We might see changes around the right back and the left back position. And we might see a change in goal that Phil kind of talked about. All right, Phil, your next question. William Bond, which Quakes team will show up? The one that outplayed Seattle, outplayed Portland, outplayed LA, and beat the other LA? Or will it be the Quakes that got blown out by Seattle, Portland, lost to LA, and got blown out to the other LA?
That's a good question from William. I think it's going to be the team that is heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
We're on the right trajectory, I think. And who knows, if they don't, then that's going to be really telling for what's going on in the locker room and what's going on with the system.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think they're going to come out and do it. I already gave my prediction, the score prediction. I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that kind of wraps it up for us. We want to thank Phil. Thank you for coming on to this episode of Tectonic Takes. Ivan will be back, and then we're going to actually have another guy that's part of the Tectonic Take team on the next podcast. Phil, your podcast is This is Phil, right?
Oh, that's my Twitter handle. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you can follow at QuakesAfter90 if you want to get updates on the shows, and we do some retweets. We also have an Instagram that we use occasionally. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Phil. This is Phil. I don't tweet too often. Every once in a while, I'll throw a take out there. But yeah, I'm just sitting back, enjoying the game, and talking on my podcast. That's what I do.
Yeah, and he goes on Twitter and looks at all the stupid hot takes that people say that Jackson Yule's having a bad half.
I'm definitely a lurker, man. No doubt.
But yeah, so definitely we want to thank Phil for being on the podcast today. We truly appreciate your time today. Thank you, Phil. And if you enjoyed this podcast, you can follow us at Tectonic Takes on Twitter. We do have a YouTube now, so if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube to listen to us there. And we want to thank the Beautiful Game Network for presenting this podcast for us and taking care of all the backhand stuff for us. So thank you again. And we do have a Patreon. So if you want to support us and be a part of the Tectonic Takes team, we do truly appreciate it because we would like to put more content out for you guys. All right. Well, wraps it up for us. All we want to say is go Quakes.
Go Quakes.